Hello and welcome to Games from Folktales, a podcast that mixes historical research and tabletop role-playing settings. I'm your host, Timothy Ferguson. This week, a new monster from the poetry of Thomas Hood. Some members of House Maronita report the existence of a creature they call the Siren of the Pier. The Siren gets its name from its habit of killing sailors. However, metaphysically, it is more similar to possessing spirits, like the Mormo, given in Realms of Power Faerie. The Siren selects the beloved of a sailor returning to port, and steals her affection away, and then puppets the woman that she has possessed, so that she breaks the heart of her sailor swain. This causes him to commit suicide, and to do this, the Siren of the Pier forces a series of personality trait rolls. Note that the creature can attack anyone who has returned from a long distance over water. Sailors are apparently its preferred victims, but merchants or soldiers from foreign wars are also common targets. The fairy cannot force these rolls on true lovers, so it avoids selecting them as victims. Thomas Hood, a 19th century poet, wrote two works called his Faithless Poems about women left behind by sailors and soldiers. Hood was a comedian. Some of his puns don't quite land in the early 21st century. The two poems you're about to hear were read into the public domain by Leonard Wilson through LibriVox. Thanks to Leonard, statistics for the creature will be found on the blog that accompanies this podcast. Eventually.
Faithless Sally Brown by Thomas Hood. Young Ben he was a nice young man, a carpenter by trade, and he fell in love with Sally Brown, that was a lady's maid. But as they fetched a walk one day, they met a press gang crew, and Sally she did faint away, whilst Ben he was brought to. The boatswain swore with wicked words, enough to shock a saint, that though she did seem in a fit, 'twas nothing but a feint. "Come, girl," said he, "hold up your head, you'll be as good as me, for when your swain is in our boat, a boatswain he will be." So when they'd made their game of her, and taken off her elf, she roused, and found she only was a-coming to herself. "And is he gone, and is he gone?" she cried, and wept outright. "Then I will to the water side, and see him out of sight." A waterman came up to her. "Now, young woman," said he, "if you weep on so, you will make I watered in the sea." "Alas, they've taken my beau Ben to sail with old Benbow." And her woe began to run afresh, as if she'd said, "Gee woe." Says he, "They've only taken him to the tender ship, you see." "The tender ship!" cried Sally Brown, "what a hardship that must be! Oh, would I were a mermaid now, for then I'd follow him, but oh, I'm not a fish-woman, and so I cannot swim. Alas, I was not born beneath the Virgin and the Scales, so I must curse my cruel stars, and walk about in Wales." Now Ben had sailed to many a place that's underneath the world, but in 2 years the ship came home, and all the sails were furled. But when he'd called on Sally Brown to see how she went on, he found she'd got another Ben, whose Christian name was John. "Oh, Sally Brown, oh, Sally Brown, how could you serve me so? I've met with many a breeze before, but never such a blow." Then reading on his 'bacco box, he heaved a heavy sigh, and then began to eye his pipe, and then to pipe his eye. And then he tried to sing "All's Well," but could not, though he tried. His head was turned, and so he chewed his pigtail till he died. His death, which happened in his birth, at 40 odd befell. They went and told the sexton. and the sexton tolled the bell. Faithless Nellie Gray, a pathetic ballad. Ben Battle was a soldier bold, and used to war's alarms, but a cannon ball took off his legs, so he laid down his arms. Now as they bore him off the field, said he, "Let others shoot, for here I leave my second leg, and the 42nd foot." The army surgeons made him limbs. Said he, "They're only pegs, but they're as wooden members quite as represent my legs." Now Ben he loved a pretty maid, her name was Nellie Gray, so he went to pay her his devours, when he'd devoured his pay. But when he called on Nellie Gray, she made him quite a scoff, and when she saw his wooden legs, began to take them off. "Oh, Nellie Gray, oh, Nellie Gray, is this your love so warm? The love that loves a scarlet coat should be more uniform." Said she, "I loved a soldier once, for he was blithe and brave, but I will never have a man with both legs in the grave. Before you had those timber toes, your love I did allow, but then, you know, you stand upon another footing now. Oh, Nellie Gray, oh, Nellie Gray, for all your jeering speeches, at duty's call I left my legs in Badajo's breeches." "Why, then," said she, "you've lost the feat of legs in war's alarms, and now you cannot wear your shoes upon your feats of arms." "Oh, false and fickle Nellie Gray, I know why you refuse. Though I've no feet, some other man is standing in my shoes. I wish I ne'er had seen your face, but now a long farewell, for you will be my death, alas, you will not be my Nell." Now when he went from Nellie Gray, his heart so heavy got, and life was such a burthen grown, it made him take a knot. So round his melancholy neck a rope he did entwine, and for his second time in life enlisted in the line. One end he tied around a beam, and then removed his pegs, and as his legs were off, of course he soon was off his legs. And there he hung till he was dead as any nail in town, for though distress had cut him up, it could not cut him down. A dozen men sat on his corpse to find out why he died, and they buried Ben in 4 crossroads with the stake in his inside.